G'day everyone, Daniel Anderson here. Now this is part 2 of our Getting Started with Copilot little video series, and in part 1 we took a look at how we get things set up, how we actually create our very first Copilot, how we connect a public website and also upload a document as our data sources to give us our generative AI responses and the ability for us to chat and talk to our custom Copilot and for it to come back with some responses based on those things as data sources. Now in part 2 we're going to take things up a little notch and connect our SharePoint sites as our data source and then see what we can do with our generative AI responses. So let's get stuck into it. There is a little bit of setup, so we're going to go through what we need to do to configure things and then we will see what the outcome is. All right, so I'm in Copilot Studio and you can see that like in part 1, we go to copilotstudio.microsoft.com. Now, under the generative AI blade here, you'll see that we can add our different websites. So I've already added 2 SharePoint sites here under the websites tab here. So what we can do is if you've got specific SharePoint sites, then we can paste those in here and we click the add button and that just gets added to our list of websites. Now what you will notice is that we can't go more than 2 levels deep. Like with our public websites, with our SharePoint websites, we can't go more than 2 levels deep. So if we go this and then we go with another level, you can see that we can't go that far. All right, so we need to stay at the 2 levels or above. All right, so I'm just going to leave it there. So first step is to add our SharePoint sites. Now, one thing to know here is that we obviously need to authenticate to be able to access our SharePoint sites. So I'm just going to save this these settings here and I'll just wait for that to save. Now what we do need to do under the settings section here, we're going to go into security and we're going to have a look at our different authentication methods. All right, so under security we've got a few different options for us. So the one that we want to get here, jump into is our authentication. Now when we're I'll just jump over to this Microsoft resource here and I will post this in the comments of the video on the prereqs and how we go about configuring user authentication for use in this Copilot as well, because what we do need to see here, or what we can see here, is that the content analysis and the retrieval happens on behalf of the signed in user. So this feature does require the user authentication, so that's why we do need to set things up. And it is under the manual or for custom website authentication option. And we'll note here that the no authentication and only for Teams authentication option can't retrieve the information from SharePoint or OneDrive for Business. So we do need to use our manual option when we're in the authentication section here. Now, I will also bring to your attention here that we do need to have some additional scopes here as well. So in particular, we need sites read all and also files read all in the scopes, in addition to the default profile and open ID values. Now, a really important thing to note here too is that these scopes don't give the user the ability to see anything that they couldn't already see. All right, so important to note. You'll only see what you've got access to see. All right. Now I've already gone through and set up and created my app registrations. I've followed the instructions on this page here. And as I said, I'll post that in the description of the video here as well. So we go through and we step through and we create our app registration. So that's already all been set up and we're ready to go. You can see I've got the client ID and I've got the client secret in there. Now, if I just close this off now, I'll jump into our sites that we've got added to, that I added under our generative AI section here. So I've got this, this site here, and inside of this document library is where I've got my policy documents. So once this loads, we can see that I've got a leave policy, I've got a mobile phone policy, and I've got a work from home policy too. And these are just Word documents. Now, I also do have a SharePoint page here that is all about the COVID-19 policy as well. And you can see we've got the contents of that policy on the page. So I've got a few different types of data here. Now, if I jump back into the Copilot Studio, let's just give this a bit of a test. All right, so you can see that we can use this blade here and we can test out our connections. All right, so what we need to do, let's have a look at one of our policies. So I'm just going to jump into Documents, and then I'll jump into, let's have a look at our leave policy. All right, so let's open up our leave policy and have a look at what the contents of this document is. So we've got different types of leave. So how about we ask our Copilot what the different types of leave are? All right, so let's go jump back into here. Let's go for what are the types of leave? And we'll hit enter. So what we should, it's now sending it across to our Copilot, and what will come back is our generative AI response here. Now you can see that it's come back with the different types of leave, and we've also got some citations here, and it links us directly to that document. So if I click on this link here, we can see that it's going to open that document for me, so that I can look at that document if I want to as well. All right. Now, what about, so that's out of a Word document. So we did also see that I've got a COVID-19 policy here that is in our SharePoint site. All right. So what we might see here is, let's have a look at the purpose, right? So let's go, what is the purpose of the COVID-19 policy? All right, so let's see if it's determined and picks up our SharePoint page as well. All right, so we've seen that it has gone through the Word documents inside of that document library, and now we can see that we've got a response here about the contents of that particular SharePoint page as well, and it does have a reference, and we've got a reference directly to that SharePoint page. I click, I open, and I'm taken directly to that SharePoint page as well. All right, so let's now try and find something about email and communication on our mobile phones. And can we use our mobile phones for email and other communication? So in the message box here, let's ask, can we use mobile phones for email and communication? All right, so let's ask that question, because part of the mobile phone policy is a section about email and communication. So let's have a look. So yes, we come back. Yes, mobile phones can be used for company email and communication purposes. So again, it's looking inside this Word document and picking up that content and generatively responding to that particular question as well. Now, what about social media and personal use? All right, so let's have a look and ask this question. Can we use mobile phones for social media and personal use? Again, we'll hit enter, ask it a question. Let's see what our response comes back like. All right, you'll see that we've got a response here, and here we go. We've got some different references, all referencing the same document, the mobile phone policy document, and we have got some direct links to the document as well. Now, what about this other site? So we're just getting responses from a single site, but remembering that we included a couple of other sites in our data sources. So we can see here that this is the other site that I've added. All right, we've got a policy library, we've got an invoices library. Okay, so let's have a look at this invoices library here. And what we might do is let's open up this XT1000 test plan. All right, let's have a look at this document. I just want to have a look at the contents inside this document here. So once this opens up, let's have a look. All right, so there's a project scope, there's some stakeholders and some milestones. Let's ask our Copilot what the project scope is of the XT1000 test plan. So we'll jump back in here. What is the scope? Let's go. What is the scope of the XT1000 test plan? All right, different site, different document. It's all included in our data sources as well as our policies. So let's have a look and see what this comes back with. All right, so it's sending it away. And we should get a response in just a second. So we'll wait for that to come back. Here we go here, and you can see here that the scope of the XT is to provide a working reference document for the project team, and we do actually have a also a reference to a PDF document here that does include information about the XT1000 test plan as well. All right, so we can see there that in addition to what we saw in part one, where we can consume and use public websites and also upload documents for data sources, we can actually connect to our SharePoint sites as well and really quickly start to surface that content in our Copilot as well. So I hope that brings you some value today. Thanks for watching, and that was part two. If you missed part one, then jump on to the YouTube channel as well, and you'll be able to see part one where we did set things up and include public websites and documents as well.